Hello everyone! In this narrated presentation, we're going to talk about the community resiliency model, which will help you learn to harness inner resilience in your clients. The goals of the community resiliency model at both the individual and community levels are to widen the resilient zone so one is better able to handle life stressors, to reset the nervous system to bring it back into balance after stressful or traumatic events, and to integrate the community resiliency model skills into the activities of daily living. And we want everything we do with the community resiliency model to be accessible, affordable, portable, and adaptable. So what is resiliency-informed self-care? By learning the skills, individuals can become more attuned and are able to use the community resiliency model skills for self-care. As individuals become more resilient, their families and communities become more resilient. When community resiliency model skills are taught within the family, adults can model the use of the skills and can help children and other adults learn the skills through their actions. And just like when you're on the plane, apply your resiliency mask first before helping others. The interventions in this model are easy to learn. They're a set of wellness skills taught to members of the community that bring the body and mind back into balance. You don't have to talk about the past, even if reading and writing are difficult, and it's useful for people of different cultures and ethnic backgrounds, as well as being able to be used with different ages. So the key concept number 1 is resilience. So what is the resilient zone that was referenced there at the beginning? It's a state of well-being in mind, body, and spirit. When in the resilient zone, one is able to handle the stresses of life. You can be annoyed or even angry, but do not feel like you will lose your head. You can be sad, but not feel like you will be washed away by the river of sorrows. So now triggering events. Triggering events will cause you to go outside of the resilient zone. When outside of the resilient zone, you can find your clients being edgy, irritable, having periods of mania, pain, anxiety, and panic and angered outbursts. When you're stuck in the high zone, these triggering events are extra apparent. When you're stuck in the low zone, you'll find depression, sadness, feelings of isolation, exhaustion, fatigue, and numbness in your clients. Reactions to trauma can greatly affect the emotional, physical, relational, thinking, behavioral, and spiritual health of your clients. Common reactions in these areas of health are detailed on this slide. But as community health workers, I want you to pay special attention to some of these reactions that are not typical symptoms that you may see. Something like forgetfulness or poor decision making, that we often stigmatize in our society as being just laziness, when in reality we're not always taking into account that someone could be so stressed that their physiological reaction is actually that forgetfulness or poor decision making. This has an especially serious application in healthcare because often we punish patients for not arriving on time or not making their appointments without taking into account that this might be a reaction from their trauma or stress. So resiliency itself is defined as an individual's and community's ability to identify and use individual and collective strengths in living fully in the present moment, and to thrive while managing the activities of daily living. We have to make a perspective shift from what we traditionally understand to also having a trauma-informed lens and going even further to a resiliency-informed perspective. Take a moment to review these perspectives here. Now we're moving on to key concept number 2. Biology's role in resilience. So look at biology versus the concept of mental weakness. Traumatic and stressful experiences can result in a biological process where the human nervous system resets to be in a state of distress, even though there are no ongoing external stressors or threats. Although insight about life experiences is helpful, it may not result in feeling more balanced in mind, body, and spirit. Stressful reactions often cannot be talked away, but they can be sensed away by using community resiliency model skills. People learn that common reactions are facts of biology, not mental weakness. And wherever we are, there's also hope. Because in neuroplasticity, the brain can change. We can build more resilient pathways in our synapses in our brain and reverse those bad physiological effects that stress and a lack of resiliency have caused. So let's look at the actual skills of the community resiliency model that you can apply in your practice as a community health worker. The basic three are resourcing, tracking, and grounding. In the first skill of resourcing, you're going to look at the internal and external resources of your clients. Resources can be a person in their life, a place, an activity they enjoy, a faith they believe in, or their strengths that they intrinsically have. And also think about resource intensification. Resource intensification strengthens the elements of the resource in order to override attention that automatically goes to unpleasant sensations. Focus on the resources and the positive benefits of them with your clients. Ways you can create an activity around identifying resources or help your clients or the community figure out the resources that are most useful to them can include these steps. Write down 3 resources. Circle 1 resource. Then write down 3 or more details about that resource. When you read aloud the resource and the 3 details about your resource, notice what happens on the inside. Then share that resource with a friend or trusted member of the community. This will help connect to the importance of resources and which ones are most valuable. The community resiliency model second skill is tracking, or reading the nervous system. Tracking refers to paying attention to sensations. Tracking is the foundation for helping stabilize the nervous system. Tracking helps children and adults learn to tell the difference between sensations of distress and upset and sensations of balance and well-being within the nervous system. Exploring sensations connected to well-being is key to helping one feel better in mind, body, and spirit. And tracking is used with all of the skills in the community resiliency model. So when we talk about sensations, what are we talking about? There are 3 types of sensations to watch for: stress and trauma sensations, resiliency sensations, and then the sensations of release. For some people, even sensing pleasant or neutral sensations can trigger unpleasant, even painful sensations. If you find yourself sensing uncomfortable sensations, you can try to bring your attention to pleasant or neutral sensations. And if this is too difficult, you can always stop. You don't want to put your client in a position where they're going to be re-traumatized. So using resourcing and tracking in conversation, you may interweave skills in a conversational way when talking to someone who may be in a state of distress. We call this conversational CRMing. You might ask, what or who helps you get through hard or stressful times? Or what or who helps calm you or uplifts you during difficult situations? This is helping to continue to strengthen and add resources to your client's repertoire. Now, skill combinations. What to do with resources and tracking to support the resilient zone. Identify when you are moving out of the resilient zone. Remember a resource and hold it in your mind. Track body sensations, the location, intensity, and details about those sensations. Determine if the sensation feels positive, negative, or neutral. If positive or neutral, remember the 3 additional details of the resource. If no stabilization or return to the resilience zone, you move on to skill 3, grounding. Grounding is the direct contact of the body or part of the body with something that provides support in the present moment. Examples here are walking barefoot on a beach, communing with nature, getting into water, touching a tree, or even just leaning against a wall. We can ground while sitting on a chair or couch or the ground, lying on the floor, bed, or the ground, walking and paying attention to your feet, making contact with the ground, and also slowly scanning using tracking on your body, noticing sensations that are supportive and or safer in the present moment. There are also help now strategies, which is a skill for yourself and others. They can be used for self-care when we are stuck in the high zone or the low zone. And it can be taught to other people to help them get back to the resilience zone when stuck in one of those high or low zones. Some help now strategies that you can actually suggest and use are drinking a glass of water or juice or a cup of tea, looking around the room or wherever you are, paying attention to anything that catches your attention, naming 6 colors you see in the room or outside if you're outside, closing and opening your eyes and looking around the room or landscape, counting backwards from 10 as you walk around the room. If you're inside, notice the furniture, touch the surface, noticing simply if it's hard, soft, rough, or otherwise. Notice the temperature in the room. Notice the sounds within the room and outside. If you're outside or inside, walk and pay attention to the movement in your arms and legs and how your feet are making contact with the ground. Push your hands against the wall or door slowly and notice your muscles pushing, or stand against a wall and push your body against the wall facing forward. Now, some of these may sound very mundane to you and don't really feel necessarily clinical, but when you're remembering back to toxic stress and just how much that affects somebody, these simple actions, something as simple as just noticing something around you, can help center, ground, and relax that person. That will make a huge difference in their ability to work on anything else you're planning on working with them and any other goals they're looking to reach. This is to help get someone in the mindset and the capacity to do what they want to do with their lives. It's extremely important.